The following is a demonstration of the mechanical translation of the book of Genesis, as well as a step-by-step guide on how to use the book. We're going to take a look at Genesis chapter 1 verse 4, and this is an excerpt from the book for that verse. In the upper left corner you'll see the verse number, and then to the right of that is the Hebrew text for that verse. On the left side is what's called the mechanical translation. The mechanical translation translates each Hebrew word exactly the same way every time it appears in the text. Not only the words, but also the prefixes and suffixes. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. And then on the right side is the revised mechanical translation. This translation takes the mechanical translation, rearranges the words and the prefixes in such a way that it matches English syntax, so that it will be understood by the average English reader. To begin, let's look at the beginning of the Hebrew verse. Remember, Hebrew's read from right to left. And there we have the letter Vav, and this is a prefix that means and. If you'll notice, just to the right of the word and is a tilde. This means that this is a prefix. To give you an example of how the prefixes and suffixes are used in the mechanical translation, here is the Hebrew word yad, and that means hand. Now, if I attach the prefix ba and form the word bayad, then it means in hand. And then if I add the suffix o, then it would be in hand him. And then in English we would simply construct that as in his hand. Here is the dictionary entry for that prefix and. Every prefix, suffix, and word used in the mechanical translation appears in the dictionary to give you a much more broader meaning of that word. And here's the word and in the revised mechanical translation. Now here is the letter yod, and this is a prefix. It's actually part of the conjugation of the verb, and when the yod is prefixed to it, it means he, as you can see in the mechanical translation. And then here's the dictionary entry for he. It identifies the subject of the verb as third person masculine singular. The he, the subject of the verb, is oftentimes specifically identified after the verb. In this case, it is Elohim. Elohim is the subject of the verb and is the he in this word. Also, the yod prefix identifies the tense of the verb as imperfect. Hebrew has two tenses, perfect and imperfect. Perfect is a completed action. Imperfect is an incomplete action. The mechanical translation will represent the perfect tense with the word did and the imperfect tense with the word will. Next is the verb ra'ah, and this is found in the mechanical translation. It is always translated as see, and this can also be found in the dictionary to take notice or perceive something or someone. To see visions. Also, each dictionary entry for each word will also give you the number for that corresponding word in the ancient Hebrew lexicon of the Bible, as well as Strong's references. This verb is represented in the revised mechanical translation with the word saw. Because the Hebrew verb is written in the imperfect tense but prefixed with the letter va, meaning and, it reverses the tense to perfect tense. Therefore, instead of will see, we would use the English word saw. Also located at the back of the book is a concordance where you can look up each word, like the word see. The concordance will also tell you how many times that word was used, in this case 141, and then is followed by every verse where this word appears in the book of Genesis. Now the next word is the subject of the verb, and that's the Hebrew word Elohim. Here it is in the mechanical translation. Now, every name in the mechanical translation is followed by its definition or its meaning within the brackets. In this case, it's powers. Each name is also listed within the dictionary and gives you its Strong's reference number. Here is the word Elohim in the Revised Mechanical Translation. It is also listed in the concordance and provides every instance where the word Elohim is found within the book of Genesis. The next Hebrew word is the word et, and this is represented in the mechanical translation with the word at. And here is the dictionary entry for the word at. The Hebrew word et, or at, as it's represented in the mechanical translation, identifies the definite object of a verb. And there's no way to represent this in English, so in most cases this word is not translated or used in the Revised Mechanical Translation. This letter, ha, is a prefix that means the, and here it is in the mechanical translation, and also the dictionary entry for this prefix. And here it is in the Revised Mechanical Translation. That prefix, ha, is followed by the Hebrew word or, which means light, as we see in the mechanical translation, and the dictionary entry for this word. And here it is in the Revised Mechanical Translation. The next word is the word ki, in the mechanical translation, represented with given that. Notice the period there between given and that. The mechanical translation places a period between two words when those two words are identifying one Hebrew word. The dictionary entry, and here it is in the Revised Mechanical Translation, given that. The next word is tov, meaning functional, or always translated as functional in the mechanical translation. The dictionary entry, and here it is in the Revised Mechanical Translation. Take note of the words it was prior to the word functional. Sometimes it's necessary to insert words in the Revised Mechanical Translation so that the sentence will make sense in English. Here is the Hebrew verb vayavdel, which includes the prefix va, meaning and, the prefix ya, which identifies the subject of the verb as third person masculine singular. Again, Elohim is that subject of the verb. Because it's imperfect tense, the mechanical translation uses the word will, but again, it's prefixed by the letter vav, which reverses the tense and makes it perfect tense or past tense. This word is written in what's called the hifel form. The hifel is the causative. The mechanical translation uses the word make to identify hifel verbs. And then we have the word badal, which means to separate. This is the Hebrew word bain, which means between. And then again we have ha, meaning the, or, meaning light. The prefix u, which is the same as va, meaning and again the word bain, meaning between. Notice that the Hebrew and mechanical translation, which faithfully follows the Hebrew, uses the word between twice, but the Revised Mechanical Translation only uses it once. This is because Hebrew will say between the light and between the darkness, whereas in English we'll only say between the light and the darkness. So the Revised Mechanical Translation will not use the second occurrence of the word between. Then we have the prefix ha again, meaning the, and then the word choshech, meaning darkness. I hope this helps you understand how the mechanical translation works, and I hope you find it useful in your Hebraic studies. Thank you very much.